Hello there. Welcome to another talk, another meditation. And today's talk meditation is called My Kundalini / Spiritual Awakening. Now, my own awakening, I get new spiritual awakenings all the time. Every day, every other day, there's a new spiritual download, new spiritual awakening. And you might be wondering, why have I mentioned Kundalini? Because basically, the start of my awakening was that. The start of my awakening, I went through a rebirth. I'm not going to go too much into it, but literally I was rebirthed. I was taken back to the womb. There was no drugs involved in this, not at that time. I was just so bewildered, and at the time I did take drugs. But in that period, when I was 24, I couldn't do it because there was so much going on that I didn't understand what was happening. And the awakening initially happened, I sat down one day and had enough of everything. And in that moment, couple of seconds, I made a decision. I made a decision. At that age of 24. Sorry, I was just letting the dog through the house, so I wasn't wanting him making noises in the middle of the talk. He's a big dog, so just open the door, let him through. But anyway, back to the talk. I was 24. I'm 35, October 22nd. And so nearly 11 years. But anyway, I sat down and had enough. But I meant it with everything. And I knew in that moment that everything was going to change from then on. And then weird things started happening. I didn't understand what was going on. I was like a headless chicken for about 2 weeks. And it took me a couple of weeks to realise what was going on. I was getting downloads all of a sudden. Imagine everything changing. And all of a sudden, this energy was more stronger than any drug I ever took on. Like ecstasy energy. Euphoria. And then I was getting downloads telling me what had happened, that I had been rebirthed. But what people call kundalini is you before you're born. Right? It's just the world that takes a human being away from what they truly are. But anyway, and so the rebirth, and I was getting download telling me what was happening. And that lasted for 2 weeks. Then after that 2 weeks ended, the energy, it was like I had to readjust to this new energy. And then once I readjusted myself, I went to this inner pathway. Like I said earlier, getting new spiritual awakenings all the time and going within. And, it was like God showed me the way. But it was up to me to continue doing the inner work. I didn't know what to do before. You see? But like I say, and the kundalini thing, I always knew that was going to come back, and that's what's happening. Kundalini, what people call a kundalini awakening, is all over the place. you know, but it's actually this like a stepping stone towards tantric awareness, which is the core essence of who you are. You know, kundalini is that core essence, but because you don't understand it, you can't really feel the bliss of it. You see? It's the ecstasy, but without wisdom. You see? And that's why you need to go on a journey to gain that wisdom. Because it's a new energy field, right? So kundalini and tantric energy are merely the same, except when it's tantric energy or tantric awareness, you're more ascended, you're more wiser. That's why you can't just give anyone a kundalini awakening, because, you know, if they don't have the wisdom to be able to, you know, balance it all, then it won't be a nice experience. It'll be more distressing than anything else. But yeah, and so that was, and after that, for a couple of weeks, like I've said, I've done the inner work and nearly been on this path for 11 years now. And, you know, I'm not perfect. I'm not gonna sit here and say that I'm fully healed. But when I think of where I was, and the way I was going, the very road I was on, was the road to suicide. You know, I had suicidal depression. And that would have led, if I would have continued on that pathway and not had a spiritual awakening, it would have led to my own death. Or if not death, it would have led to illnesses first. You know, if I didn't die soon. Because my mother's side and my family side in general have got, you know, illness. It runs in the family. And I am 35, my birthday, and no signs of any illness. But I know that that's because of this awakening. I've not seen anyone on the internet or in life, for that matter, that's had a spiritual awakening and got an illness. You know, you look at Eckhart Tolle, for example. You know, I think he's in his 70s and he's, you know, so he looks so healthy, and that's because of the awakening. Because this holy source power just cleanses you, right? You know, people use crystals and they're good, but, you know, when you interact with this holy source, then that is 5 to 8 hertz. It's the divine source. And how you access it is by doing what I done. Just make that conscious decision to go within yourself. But you've got to mean it. And then when you decide to do it, it's like God is doing the rest. You see? It's a miracle that I awakened, because none of my family members have had a spiritual awakening. I didn't know what a spiritual awakening was. And the genuine people in the spiritual community are those that have had spiritual awakenings. The people that have just done a course, they've not lived that pathway. You see? It's not like everything, you know, most things it's about going to university or college, but spiritual awakening is nothing to do with that. You know, it's like when you know, in the time of Christ, if you believe in that, the story is that they said, "Where's this God?" And he said, "It's within you." And so, and where it is within is, you know, you got to go within the heart chakra, because that's where the healing happens. You know, follow the heart space. And that, within that space, is divine guidance. That's how you tune into God, by being heart-based. You see? So feel instead of think. And then what happens is, on this journey, you're aligning with Source. You're aligning with infinite love. You're aligning with 5 to 8 hertz. You're aligning with Christ consciousness. You're aligning with tantric awareness. All the same thing. You know, like I said earlier, kundalini is merely awakening to tantric awareness, but you've got to align with it, right? Because kundalini is so different to anything you felt that it takes years to adjust yourself to that vibrational frequencies. So then once you've went through the pathway, that's how you enter enlightenment and bliss. It's merely a harmonization of these new energies, these kundalini energies. So it's a perfect balance of your energy centers, your chakras, your emotions, with that relentless sexual energy. And when you have that balance right, you then have bliss. You have nirvana. You know, nirvana is a state of ultimate bliss, peace, tranquility, basically Source. But within there is orgasmicness. But if you get a man or woman who's got too much orgasmicness, but there's not other elements in there to balance it all, they'll be overly sexual. You see? And that won't actually be a good experience. So the pathway, the spiritual awakening process, is for you to balance and harmonize the kundalini frequencies. You see, kundalini, what happens is it's the perfect meeting or alignment between divine feminine and divine masculine. That's what it is. And so they're perfect aligned, and then it manifests this experience. And then you go on a pathway where you're aligning with that power. Instead of just having one experience, the tantric journey is becoming that. You see? So you just get a kundalini awakening, but then you're aligning with this power by the inner healing path, ascension. And so if you feel like people are trying to take you off path, that's all part of the pathway. You see? You know, and just see these people, these narcissists, as they would see you. They see you as training objects, or not training objects, but objects. You can do the same. Use them as part of your ascension process. Not if they're good people, but you know what I mean, if they're bad people, then just understand that they're there to ascend you, you know? And as you do this, you'll become more wiser. And like I said earlier, you know, I get new spiritual awakenings all the time. Every other day. Ever since the first big one. And like I say all the time, that like I said earlier as well, that it all happened when I decided that enough was enough. And I meant it. And if you do that, you'll awaken too. You see, God leads the rest of the way. Just wants you to make that decision to follow that within. But anyway, I'm just going to leave it there. For latest updates, talks, news, research, and everything else, everything's on my website. My new talk's always located at the top of the homepage. And that is lovelightfamily.com. Thank you for watching and listening. Thank you.